All right. Welcome back. We are the Between Stars and Suns, Season 2, Episode 2. So, I believe we have two masks owed to us from last time. If you are ready with your mask, then please let us know what the prompt is, and then go ahead and narrate. Whomever wants to start.
Yeah, I'll go first then. Prompt is to narrate a flashback to the realm of Fae when you were enlisted, either by will or by force, to vex the human world. We find Finn as he once was, a being of prismatic light, of iridescence, wandering through what appears to be just a very overgrown and lush meadow. There are the typical dandelion seeds sort of flying in the air. There's also a hint of glitter sparkling in the sunshine. It's very bright here. Everything's saturated and lush. But as he's wandering, he hears a voice booming from behind him, but not in a threatening way, just in a more casual way of speaking. This is just the person's voice. And the voice calls out to him and says, "Oh, you there, Ganganak." And Finn turns his head around and sees coming up on a carriage. The carriage isn't just an ordinary carriage. It is a carriage made of living beings, fairies of all kind, of all shapes and sizes, being drawn by even more fairies, but a large one. This one is being drawn by this donkey-headed troll. But as it's moving through this meadow, we see inside of it this regal-looking man. He has a crown made of stars, and his ears sort of extend almost to the top of the cabin of this carriage. And as it pulls up beside Finn, the carriage, we watch it change. The beings who are performing as the body of this carriage start to reposition themselves into a throne. Some of them disperse and become almost like Roman columns behind him. And it creates a sort of impromptu palace that Finn finds himself in. And he kneels as Oberon sits on this throne made of living beings. And we see him dressed in resplendent, glittering silver and gold and iridescent silks. His skin is indescribably jade. Well, I just described it as jade, but it's this indescribable lustrous shade of jade that again just sort of has this otherworldly sheen in the sunlight. He has a long grayish beard out of which these vines and these flowers keep living and dying out of. As he sits on the throne, he looks at Finn. I have a task for you. And Finn, kneeling down, says, "You have but to ask." Well, it is time once again to harvest. You see, a fairy of your talent, well, of your interests, we have need to refill our own bank, if you will, a bank of emotions. It's nothing quite like human emotions, really. It's something that we banquet on here in the Sealy Court. And, well, stock is running low. And Finn, looking up, says, "What would you have me do then, my lord?" And Oberon says, "Well, you will do as any good Ganganak will do. You will go, you will live amongst them, you will open their hearts so that we may feast upon them." "Oh, well, is that all then, my lord?" And Oberon chuckles at that. "Well, harvest as much as you can from this family, and those in the neighboring houses and the village itself. Spread your particular brand of mischief and mirth. But don't forget who you are. And when the time comes, we will make sure to send for you, and we will make sure that your opening is available, and you will have a seat at this grand banquet when all is prepared." And Finn He does a very kind of deep curtsy and bow. He says, "Of course, it would be my honor, my lord." "Well, come." And the throne, the pillars collapse once again and begin to form into that carriage. And he opens up the carriage door, or the door rather opens up itself, and he invites Finn inside. Finn takes his hand and looks up, and there's this. It's hard to tell because again, he's a being of light, but there's almost a sense of excitement, but also there's almost a sense of approval that he's getting from Oberon being in his presence now, that I think that he feels excited by. And so when he enters the carriage just rolls off, continuing down into this meadow, trees waving in the wind, literally waving as they do here in the Fae. And we go back to London. And I think this is just sort of like Finn wistfully dreaming, or thinking about life back then.
The Explorer's Mask of the Past tells the story of a young man called the Boy, whose village was occupied for a time by the explorer and their extraordinary forces. Narrate a flashback to the time when the explorer first arrived at your village. Was it a joyous moment, or was there something ominous about it? I think in this scene, we see the boy. He's fairly young, about 10 years old in this scene, and I think he's running about outside. It's a nice summer day, like he's running around out in the fields, in the rice paddies, and just like has his pants like rolled up to his knees so they wouldn't get wet, and his mother would yell at him for it. And like we hear like off in the distance the sound of thunder rumbling and storm clouds coming by. He goes off running to home. But as like he's about to head inside, he sees something else off in the distance. As though like smoke coming from the mountains, rising up into the sky to meet the storm clouds, forming into one black mass.
So we will begin this session to ask what each character remembers from last time. A small recap, maybe a couple of sentences if you can so condense it. But what was memorable about last session that you remember your character being involved in?
I went to a crime scene and made a new friend. And now we're going to go solve crime at night in London.
Well, we got to meet Finn for the first time last session as we were fighting a Fae tree entity on top of a burning warehouse. We also, he and Dame Georgie ended up going to Miss Beaumont's atelier to basically check it out and see if they could find anything. And in addition to making some new friends, he also met with Miss Beaumont, who has requested, I use that term lightly, requested Finn to return for the evening so that she can make him a bespoke suit.
Dame Georgie was 90% of the session just very mad at the situation of being ignored by like these people. For starters, he looks better than Mr. Quickley. He's in a very nice suit. And for secondly, he knows a thing or two about tailoring, which Mr. Quickley does not. And I found this mysterious trail of clothing that was cast off the side, leading further into Miss Beaumont's shop, sort of to a basement area. I did not get to go in the basement.
No, you didn't. Oh, and I believe you did find a small hand mirror That
Oh
was
yeah.
fair. I'm gonna say that you can keep that in your personal quarters
Ooh, fancy.
because that also earns you the condition, which I didn't say on the video last time, but that did earn you the condition. I've got my eye on you. All right. So given that, and unfortunately, Sarah isn't able to join us today, but we will return with Merritt Savage next week, we hope, and see how much further he was detained by Orrin Blackwood, or if they happen to amble off like semi-amiably to other places. But for now, we are going to head into dusk phase. And since it's only the one threat so far, again, dusk phase is a good time to not only engage with the dusk phase activities, but also if you choose to answer a question, you can do so. There are 3 choices for resolving this threat. And it's just a matter of deciding like which of those pertaining to the clues that you've gathered so far, or, want to continue to gather, how you want to resolve the threat. Okay. So that is a choice. All right. Made as a group. So you can do with complexity 4, complexity 6, or complexity 8. And as far as I can see, I believe we have 4 clues on the dock right now for Spider Silk Seamstress. Sir Atticus, from last season, you have gained a move that allows you to do a dusk phase move.
That is correct. I previously marked the cosmic passage, and we just never hit another dusk phase. So this will be our first time having fun with that.
Let's go ahead and read off that.
Your connection to the beast has grown. At the start of the dusk phase, roll with presence. On a 10 plus, take advantage on your next roll and describe what aspect of the beast you feel helping you. On a 7 to 9, as above, but take the condition bloodthirsty. Once the beast is resolved, unmark this box, and I can mark it again, but we won't worry about that. We're focused on just how it's helping me today.
Okay.
3 plus 4 plus 1. That is an 8. So bloodthirsty.
Oh boy, this is going to be great.
I'm gonna just mark that down as a condition. And then I also have to say what aspect of the beast is helping me today.
I think you would say that like when you take advantage on your next roll.
Okay.
Yeah. Because then that would also, I would imagine, give you the impetus to say what specific trait is helping you as well. So, composure, stealth, that sort of thing, or vitality, just pure savagery, now that you're bloodthirsty.
We'll find out.
We'll find out. Absolutely. I can't wait. And I'm sure D.I. Pettigrew can't wait either. All right. Okay. Explorer, REC. You can call upon the Rear Admiral Alfred Bingley Green if you want, Dame Georgie, but I mean, again, you would just determine when you figure that's going to be appropriate,
Typically it's determined by the dusk phase because it allows like me to hand out weapons to the rest of the group. So
Sure.
I don't think weapons are going to be useful tonight because we're still investigating.
Sure. That is perfectly fine. All right. Okay. So we're going to go through the paint the scene on Hargrave House. Let's see what room we want to go in today. Considering whom you're dealing with, let's go to the ballroom. Hargrave House once hosted a ball for a group of visitors from the Fey realm. Even today, there are subtle reminders of that night in this room. What are they?
Could you repeat the prompt one more time?
Absolutely. So Hargrave House once hosted a ball for a group of visitors from the Fey realm. Even today, there are subtle reminders of that night in this room. What are they? And again, feel free to use the Rooms of Hargrave House tab that we've added. So this way, if you happen to go back into that room, you remember what you said.
At night, you can hear laughter and giggling coming from that room. You can also hear the sounds of feet moving across the floor. But if you ever go inside the ballroom to check out and see what the noise is, all you see are fireflies.
I think that there is an enchanted plate that was used by the serving staff that one evening. One of the servers had complained, the trouble of having to go back to the kitchen and then come back up here to just bring food. And one of the Fae decided to enchant a plate that constantly regenerates hors d'oeuvres without stop. So occasionally the staff at the Hargrave house need to go in and remove this food that just keeps on growing unceasingly.
So many canapes.
So much, and they go bad. Have you ever had a bad canapé?
I want to say that only happens at night, though.
Yeah, at night. Like they only appear at night.
Yeah, sure.
I will note that Hargrave House technically does not have any servants. It's just us hunters.
Yep.
That means you won't starve. It's great.
A person can only eat so many eggs in their lifetime. I think they're on one of the walls. We have a gift from one of the Fae. It's a portrait of themselves. But every time you look away from it, the portrait is doing a different pose, as though showing off.
Love it. All right. So now we're going to go around and find out what each hunter will be doing during the upcoming night phase. All right. So we'll take a first pass, and then if you want to change your mind after hearing everybody's, first thoughts, then you can go ahead and do so. All right. So let's start with, remind me, Finn. I mean, you obviously said, but just in case you wanted to change your mind, are you going to go back to the shop?
Oh yeah, I got a fitting to go to.
All right.
What other locations are associated with this threat?
Let's see. Okay, so meta, obviously, that Sir Richard's flat is still on the board, regardless of what D.I. Pettigrew and Sir Atticus have already found. Kew Gardens is also mentioned here, as well as Savile Row. And then there is an apothecary shop that is nearby that has some connection to this case. And of course, Miss Beaumont's private workshop, which may or may not be
In the basement.
Who knows? And of course, there will be something that'll be happening 4 nights from now called the Midsummer Masquerade.
I definitely would like to check whatever is in the basement of Miss Beaumont's shop. So for story point, I don't think I ever left, quote unquote. Unless you have something for me to do, Mads.
You don't think you left the shop?
Yeah, I wanna go into her basement.
I'm going to say before you do, I think you're stopping off at the nearby apothecary, because that's also where you get a little bit of something on possible goings on in the basement. All right. And Sir Atticus, you are attached at the hip with D.I. Pettigrew.
And D.I. Pettigrew has a lead. Clearly, we are going to go follow this lead, and it will take us to the heart of darkness of this investigation.
I think he had mentioned something about talking with Sir Richard's acquaintance at the Blue Feather Society. They might have a meeting. They might have a meeting at their gathering place, their salon, this evening.
Den of iniquity is what it is. We'll go and we'll show them our strength. We'll make sure they tell us the truth.
You can choose to do that.
I'm very bloodthirsty right now. It's a compulsion. I can't stop it.
Yeah, evidently. Oh my. Can't wait to see what kind of havoc you cause. All right, fabulous. All right. Does anybody want to change their mind?
I actually do
All
want to
right.
change my mind. I want to see where Sir Atticus is doing because like him trying to fight off like a bunch of like academics is like just too entertaining to pass up.
Oh, so you're gonna change your mind?
Yeah.
Okay. I think I'm gonna say that you probably sense or see his sudden battle fervor like when you return to the house for a little bit, and maybe that will be impetus for you to accompany them. And of course, you see DI Pettigrew pretty much sticking close. DI Pettigrew, I will say, is probably being very not cagey, what am I trying to say? Deferential to you, Dame Georgie, knowing your status, but also like kind of
Also being in Hargrave House, this is not his place of business.
no, it's not. I mean, generally, like, anything that even sniffs of the supernatural or something like that will be like, this is your purview. However, he can't resist, at least trying this out, especially because he found Sir Atticus in Sir Richard's flat. So anyway, okay. Okay. Let's go to, I'm going to introduce the unseen that we'll be doing this evening, okay? And so, not that we need to be reminded, but I'll do it anyway. The unseen is your opportunity for the upcoming night phase to call upon thematic elements to tie in between the hunter scenes and scenes of the unseen, which are someplace, somewhere completely different from where the hunters are, a slice of life, seedy underbelly of London, and you're just to tie in aspects of the unseen to the hunter scenes and vice versa to gain experience points when it comes to the dawn phase. All right. So we will do Perched in the Rookery. Decrepit tenements lean against one another like drunks, broken windows covered by rotting boards and old newspapers, decrying the moral decline of the city. Alleys cramped, dark, and full of oozing filth. This rookery is publicly despised by the well-heeled of London as they drive the unfortunate into it, and the source of much salacious interest in private. This is located on line 31. I believe it is the first one on that row. All right. So let's do first prompt. Let's go ahead and do Mike. Second prompt, we'll do Jack. Third prompt will be chaotic. And paint the scene will be everyone. And again, take advantage of using the space underneath the prompt. So this way you can kind of call upon each other's details to create your echo of the night. First prompt of the unseen. Mike. A squad of peelers comes in mob-handed to drag off a bunch of the usual suspects for a robbery charge. What do we see of those who get picked up in the raid? What do the peelers use to justify their brutality? And just in case you didn't know, peelers are the cops.
Thank you. I was looking that up as like
Robert Peel of that period, yeah.
Oh.
Running his own cops, brute squad, whatever you want to call them. Yeah.
I've learned new things about Victorian slang. All right. Let's see. What do we see of those getting picked up in the raid?
And what do they use to justify their brutality?
I think that we see them gathered in a basement. There's like one or two exits, and they try and push back, try and push out, and the peelers see that desire to escape as a reason to, like, he was jumping at me. I needed to go and like strike him down as such. Like, what do we see? But of those who are getting picked up in the raid, they don't have a lot. They're just trying to pass the time. They're a little dirty, a little beat up, but you know, just trying to live their lives. And well, the peelers aren't really giving them the benefit of the doubt here. Just a bunch of ne'er-do-wells, the whole lot of you. Will take you down and see how you like spending time in I don't know, Tower of London. Where are we taking these guys? I don't know if it's just like a jailhouse or whatever.
Yeah, probably like the dingiest one that they have, because again, you know, they suspect that everyone that comes here is a criminal. So,
and in a similar fashion to kicking down that door, we see just a big heavy boot kick down the front door of this parlor as Atticus just waves a hand forward as a very confused D.I. Pettigrew steps forward, says, well, what's this then? Trying to put up the same bluster that these peelers were trying to put forward.
and in the best style of a period piece, as the door is being broken down, then you hear the indignant shouts and squeals of well-dressed salon goers in their evening best, just sitting around this very large parlor on gilded and silk seats, chaises de linge, and dropping tea as you both burst in, with, I'm assuming, Dame Georgie following in the rear.
Yes, he's rolling his eyes at this king. Sir Atticus, that was completely unnecessary. The door was obviously unlocked, and we could have just knocked.
Dame Georgie, while I understand that that was the case, it's also a matter of intent, making sure that we can strike true, make ourselves known before they can hide any evidence.
A woman in a stiff posture, tightly bound hair, and a very severe expression over her tiny little spectacles, her pince-nez, as it were. She's holding a black briar calabash pipe in one hand and just sneering down at you as she moves forward to greet you at the kicked-in door. And what do you think this is about? My goodness, man. We are not performing in some sort of battle. We are discussing esoteric topics. What is the meaning of this?
Is she addressing me or Pettigrew?
Sir Atticus, you were the one that kicked open the door.
Right.
Okay, then I'm leading. Madam, there has been a murder. If you are masters of the esoteric, then surely you know that there is a beast that dwells in the shadows that has been preying upon London itself.
What are you speaking of? Of course, the news would have all sorts of crime that's happening.
Madam, if I were interested in torrid yellow papers, then I would go and speak with newsfolk. But I am here to speak to people of learning, of culture. And he'll just get really close. You are indeed one of these folk, yes?
Yes.
Wonderful. Take a seat, and then we will ask questions. Thank you for your cooperation, madam.
D.I. Pettigrew, what is the meaning of this? And basically D.I. Pettigrew is like, and explaining the details that you've found, and you are both investigating, Sir Richard's strange demise. And then her response is, as she's twittering over to her seat, I don't know what it has to do with us. I mean, he was wonderful and would tell us such wonderful stories and tell us his theories about the other crowd. But of course, his theories were nonsense. But we all loved him for those outrageous stories. If only he'd had a thimble full of good judgment, he'd still be with us.
Atticus is going to he's going to take one of the pipes from one of these fine gentlemen and just light it so that he can begin smoking, considering this. So you discounted this individual because of his theories or because of his demeanor, madam? It sounds as though he is presenting good cases to you.
And there is a woman who is quite, even sitting down, she's quite statuesque. She has a straight posture, but not in the stiff way that this woman who addressed you did. She is very busty in her corset, in her ornate shawl wrapped around her very beautiful shoulders. And she's got heavy eyeshadow and wearing lots and lots of jewelry. And she has a silver cigarette holder, and she's just posing dramatically as she's addressing you directly, Sir Atticus, in a drawling voice.
Wonderful.
And basically says, it's like, it's not his theories, darling. It was the fact that he was in the company of a seamstress. Can you believe it?
Dear God,
Seamstress.
people who have to deal with cloth, I couldn't even possibly believe it.
I'm smack Sir Atticus. Like just at the back of the head.
What?
I am Sylvia Belrose. I consider myself an amateur occultist. And yes, Sir Richard was wonderful with his stories, but he had a penchant for hanging with someone less than cultured, I suppose. Hadn't even heard of the symbolists, can you imagine? But doesn't have the power to utterly consume me.
Atticus
What's the
gets
point?
ready to make another snide remark and then just kind of looks at Dame Georgie again to make sure he's not going to get smacked again.
The 50-50 shot of whether you're going to get smacked again.
The crew starts going around and then
Mhm.
starts whipping out his little notebook and then making some gestures to ask questions. I'm going to head over to Finn. Finn, do you just walk up to the shop or do you stealth your way there first?
No, I don't think he has a reason to stealth. But I do think that unless Chaotic says otherwise, I think that on his way out, Finn managed to swipe one of Dame Georgie's canes, walking canes, not the one that he usually walks around with, but just a spare one,
Yeah.
just so he looks a bit more posh. I think he also maybe takes one of his beaverskin top hats as well. He's just sort of sauntering around town, feeling his oats, and he just sort of strides up to the atelier.
Unlike some of the other shops on Savile Row right now, who have like lamplight, some candles possibly lit in the windows, and you can see those tailors working industriously on their commissions and just designs for their respective merchants. You see that the shop is dark. Hazel Beaumont's shop is completely dark.
I think he, seeing that the lights are all shuttered and dark, well, not shuttered, but that the shop is all dark. I think that his little swagger sort of calms a bit, cools down, and remembers who he works for, who he works with. And so I then think once he sees that it's dark, I think he takes a bit more of a cautious approach and starts to just test and see if anyone's inside, just test to see if the door is locked or unlocked, looking in the windows.
Do you feel that you see a little bit more sharply with your violet eyes,
Not, I mean,
especially in the dark?
Not necessarily, no. If anything, I think, he's more used to, sunlight and the outdoors.
Gotcha. Okay. Reason I say that is because it's like I was going to ask you to possibly go for information, but if you're
Oh, I
not,
mean, I'll totally roll information if it's okay.
yeah, that's fine. In this case, I'm going to say with sensitivity, since you're not necessarily using sight.
That's a 9.
I'm going to say that as you make the approach and like you're looking and peering in the windows and you're making your approach, as you put your hand on the door handle, it slowly creaks open. All the way open. And all you see is a dark recess into the shop. And out of the recess comes 2 elbow-length satin gloves reaching for you. The street lamps shine on iridescent ribbons, which seem to move a little bit on their own as you hear from inside the darkness, "Come in."
Of course. And he'll let the hands guide him inside. And
We're going to go over to the unseen. Jack. 2 families share a damp-up garret, a single room with rainwater leaking in through the rotted shingles. As they huddle together for warmth against the cold night air, what little touches of homeliness do we see that show they are making the best of their situation?
we see one modest-sized bed, and we see there is a fireplace, again, very small, and we see a single chair and a single table, and yet we see 2 sets of parents, at least 6 children. One of the mothers is in the chair as the children are all lined up asleep, kind of squished together, head to toe, laying in bed. The blankets are piled on top of them, while the 2 fathers sit on the floor at the foot of the bed, playing cards. The cards themselves are all ragged and old and weather worn, but they play them nonetheless, and they laugh amongst each other. One's smoking a cigarette, and the other one's just kind of enjoying the company. We see the one mother who is sitting in the chair. She looks up, and the other mother approaches her with a very small wicker basket in hand, and she sets it on the table and says, "Well, I managed to secure some of this ribbon." And she begins to pull out ribbons of different color that are clearly scraps that she managed to pull from refuse bins on places like different kind of shops in the area. And so together, the 2 of them, as the 2 men play cards and as the children do their best to sleep, the 2 women begin to braid the ribbons into small bracelets of jewelry, so that by the time the night's over, they will have had 6 tiny little bracelets, one for each of the children.
Back to the Blue Feather Society. So D.I. Pettigrew has started to go around with his little notebook and then be very whiskery, blustery in their face for whomever is there. And you find out that the severe-looking older woman is named Abigail Walker. She is actually the chair of the Blue Feather Society, and she is doing her best to field questions as she stares daggers at Sir Atticus. And Sylvia Belrose, the socialite who spoke, is being as very blasé as she possibly can, while also answering questions. And then there's other folks that are here. You can choose to engage as you will. There's one woman who has a shawl similar to what Sylvia Belrose has, as if she's trying to copy her. And then almost like,
No.
mirroring her gestures and just trying to just kind of like be a little bit more than she is. And then like there's a few other fellows that are there that are also dressed well for the evening. And they look rather scholarly, as you would expect them to be for this particular society. So yes, you can choose to engage or what
Yes.
have you.
Sir Atticus, before you go wandering out, brutally interrogating this room of academics, peers, mind you.
Academics. Look at them.
Don't hush.
They probably haven't done an actual day's work in their lives, Dame Georgie.
Shh.
Dealing with the esoteric, by God.
Um,
They haven't done a single ritual, most likely. Just a bunch of books and trifles.
Remember your title, Sir Atticus. We have to remember our status within society. We are their betters. Unless you I shudder to think of the humiliation of it all, that you just placed that title in front of you and you're not actually knighted at all.
I despise the name of the Wellington-Hughes family, but I will not tolerate the idea that I am impersonating my gentlemanly title.
Well, your behavior this night so far is shameful, to say the least. And I have a question for Mads. Is this enough to trigger the vulnerable move?
So somebody's trying to be humiliated tonight, and it's not Dame Georgie. Okay, great.
No, Sir Atticus is bloodthirsty right now and really wants to lead Dame Georgie out at the moment. However, I also don't think the player versus player is a thing that we want to do in the between.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Unless the fiction really calls for it, in which case, boy, howdy.
Yeah, it's more or less of like trying to bring Sir Atticus back to be less, little bit bloodthirsty and rein himself in by reminding him of his status. Unless you don't think it has triggered, which I'm fine with.
Sir Atticus will be adequately, privately humiliated in this fashion.
Yeah, I'm not doing it in front of like people. I think we're having like the
We're
conversation.
having an aside. You're not calling me out in front
Yeah.
of a bunch of like the well-to-dos.
Yeah, I'm just like, that's why I was trying to like hush you so like people wouldn't come and like see what we're doing.
Okay. We're gonna talk during next dawn phase, and I gotta have a vulnerable move if that's cool then.
Okay.
So Sir Atticus will slam down the pipe that he stole a little bit harsher than he needs to, and say, then please lead the way, Dame Georgie.
Yes. D.A. Pettigrew has some smart ideas, but he's still looking at the wrong picture. And because this is my vice, I would like to find a clue, and I point upwards as on like sort of like imagine like there's some light fixture, like a sort of a candelabra, and within the candelabra is like little tiny spider webs like hanging down, dripping with like dew or some sort of other liquid.
You don't have to get that specific right now if you want. You can go ahead and just say it's like dripping with some liquid and contextualize like when it comes time for it. So I'll accept that. That sounds interesting.
May I investigate?
Absolutely.
Yes, please.
If you want to, and I'm going to make this suggestion because, it's fun. If you want to take advantage of, say, I don't know, vitality, you can go around this salon and like start moving things physically.
I had something that also used vitality, but helped sort of in terms of I found that folded love letter that was perfumed with imported paper.
Right.
I just want to get really close as Dame Georgie, like Dame Georgie is talking with people, and I just get really close. It's like, just like I'm trying to see if anybody has a similar perfume.
Interesting. Nice. Well, you get advantage anyway, like using this move.
Yeah.
So you don't have to mark it as a personal quarters thing, but I mean, yeah, I love that. Sure.
I'm also fine with being used as an item in this regard.
Well, I already have advantage from the beast.
Mhm.
So I just believe that my senses are enhanced further, but in exchange, this is not an elegant process.
Mhm.
It is, but I'm able to individualize the sense as I just take a deep breath and see which one is leading me towards who we need to talk to, if that one works better.
Sure. That sounds good.
Heck yes, I will take that. That is a 12.
Oh,
Plus 3, so that's a 15.
oh my God.
That's my. Wow.
The biggest sniff. Let's go.
Oh man, I gotta think about this one because this is like one, it's got the mastermind like all over it, slathered all over it. Oh my God.
They were here.
So good.
The mastermind was here. They're still in the air. I could taste the tannins. Hints of oak.
Actually, that's not a half bad idea. Give me a second. I gotta look at the clues.
Mhm. Yeah, I put down an X in case you want to like think on it some more.
Oh yeah, now I'm just gonna quickly look down this thing.
See, Dame Georgie can investigate stuff.
Sure.
But like you pointed up at your he's not seeing the full picture. Point up to some cobwebs. Here, Atticus is in the middle of the room hyperventilating. Like the mastermind has been here. You don't understand.
For later to be determined.
Yeah. Just
for sure. This is gonna be. Oh man, so many choices because there's two that I want to use, especially found here. I almost want to combine the two.
I'm okay with you giving me 2 mastermind clues for one roll.
Well, not 2 mastermind clues, but I was also thinking, you know what? This is too damn good. It's like, let's go ahead and do this. All right. So I think as you're taking that big fat sniff, I think you are seeing the room like in your mind's eye. You're not seeing the room as in like the people and the things that are here. You're seeing the room in like this like smoky texture, as if like every scent in this room has like some sort of like gaseous form. So as you're seeing these scents in your mind's eye, you smell this particular scent in one of the books that's on an end table on its side. You can't see it, but you see it in your mind in this like gaseous form. It's upended, like it's like out of place. And I think like almost like doing your Inigo Montoya, like not really looking, but then heading towards it. You put your hand on a book of fairy tales bound in pale blue leather and silver embossing. And if you flip through it, there's comments and corrections scrawled in the margins in an elegant script of an unknown language. But then you realize that in this book is where the scent was permeating from. It looks like it's from an apothecary shop. It's a letter of apology. A rare and unusual ingredient is no longer available. So it's from this book, but the book was permeated with this amazing scent from this apothecary shop.
Okay.
There's no pictures of this. Oh, goodness so gracious. Maybe there are, okay? Like,
Okay, good. There are pictures in this fairy tale book. Good.
Yes. Fine illustrations. All right, great. Okay. heading over to, I do want to include this, but I'm not sure exactly how yet. I'm going to flip over to Finn while I figure it out. Finn, you're being drawn into the darkness. And as you're being drawn in and across the threshold, out of nowhere from behind the counter or what have you, there are two sconces that suddenly like light up. Not by flame, but they just light up. I think you're familiar with how it's doing that, but you don't have time to think because you're being stared in the face by two women who are wearing deep veils of black lace. So deep that you cannot see their faces underneath it. And they are the owners of the elbow-length satin gloves. One was reaching her left arm towards you, and the other was reaching her right hand towards you. And the ribbons that you thought were moving, they just seem to be hanging down now, like almost like fringe. And then they're clothed and clad in complete black. It's almost like the black of funeral attire, like as if it's absorbing light. And any jewelry, any ornaments they have are just dark and without shine.
Is black the color of the season, ladies, or did someone die?
We could be mourning all the time. And they're speaking in tandem, back and forth. It is in season for us. Come,
Lovely.
Miss Beaumont has a wonderful suit just for you.
Well, where is she?
She wants us to fit it upon you first. She will add the final details.
Well, where is this suit?
As you ask, in the far corner from the door is a dais rimmed by 3 mirrors. And on a mannequin in front of these mirrors on the dais is this amazing suit. Tell me, what does it look like? What color is it? And what makes you think that this is the most splendid thing that you will ever wear in your lifetime?
I think it's a slim-fitted suit, the color of which is almost like a kind of a deep silver, like a darker color of his, like a darker shade of his hair, which is like that true silver. It's got kind of like brighter silver striping in it. Kind of, it's hard to tell at first, but when the light hits it just right, you see the embroidery flash. It's lined with a silk. It's just sort of like this, almost like paisley pattern. But if you look close enough, you see different images of different fey creatures and flowers and insects, sort of all just gallivanting around. It's a 3-piece, and I think when he gets close to it, he's just kind of like holding the edge of a cuff in his hand and looking at himself. And I think the mannequin is headless, and so when he stands behind it, he can see it in front of him, and he sees that it's the perfect fit and it complements him just right. There's also like a silk square in the pocket that is reminiscent of his own eye color, which is that kind of like iridescent violet rather.
They invite you, as they step up on either side of you on this dais, they invite you to remove your clothing, try this suit on so they can make sure that it is of a perfect fit.
Yeah, I think he's ready to strip, and so he kind of just tosses Dame Georgie's hat to the side, tosses the cane off. He kind of strips out of his, his ill-fitting tuxedo jacket and opens his top and just rips off the bracers that he's wearing, slides the breeches down, and but when we see him, we see that he's in good shape. He's a bit of a twunk rather. But I think we also see that there are scars on his back, in different kind of odd shapes, but they look to be like burn marks.
I think you feel the sisters pause rather than see them do it. You feel them pause as you are, naked for that particular, bunch of moments. And then you start to put the clothes on. They want to touch you, but actually their hands are hovering, especially over your back where they see those burns. And their only comment at this point is, "What interesting patterns."
Yeah, yes. Well, that they are. And he, when he says that, he just sort of pulls up the shirt, which I think is just like it's kind of a very nicely made but white cotton, and he buttons it up.
And then we will go to the unseen. Chaotic. In a lean-to slumped in a reeking alley, a small group of pickpocket urchins divvy up their spoils to buy food. What objects of frivolous wealth have they managed to lift?
It's a variety of collection of things. They find like this very, very nice looking wooden cane. Like has this metal handle of a serpent twining around it. They find like this beautiful top hat. They find like these layers upon layers of like just these clothes, as though they have like broken into somewhere rather than quote unquote the traditional route of pickpocketing, because I think one of them actually got caught today stealing from this guy. He said, I was just going out to just for my lunch, and just complained as like he was literally just leaving his shop, and like the door was left open and all the rest of these urchins managed to scoop on by inside.
I'm going to say, as you find these clues, and D.I. Pettigrew looks as if he's winding down on his interrogation or just questions. I mean, he's, again, a bit differential. Some of them look like they may be more titled than they look. I think he recognizes one or two of them. I think he will snap his notebook shut and come back over to you two, or especially to you, Sir Atticus, and say, "Well, I think I have found enough details. I believe I have discovered a few more places that we can look. Miss Smythe over here has told me about a particular apothecary shop that Sir Richard seemed to frequent, whether by his own behest or at the behest of Miss Beaumont. Not sure yet, but I plan on visiting the apothecary."
Well done, D.I. Pettigrew. It seems that we are now a step closer to discovering the truth.
Thank you. I appreciate the acknowledgement.
Is the chair of the society there, probably expectant, like, I've answered your questions, please leave now?
She does come out of her seat and just says quite loudly, it's like, "And it was so wonderful for you to stop by. I will be giving the bill for the door to Hargrave House, yes?"
Indeed. And Atticus will actually take a knee and defer. Thank you for your time, your attention, and your patience.
Well, appreciate the gesture. Hopefully, in more civilized times, you may call again when you feel more, well, calm. We are always here to discuss topics of strange validity.
I very well may do so, madam. I thank you that you do not shut the door on us.
It would be quite difficult to do so as the door has been knocked down. Thank you.
Atticus will take the hint, pick up the door from the ground, and then once we've all stepped outside, kind of lean it awkwardly against the door frame as we leave.
Absolutely. And what would you like to do next before I head back to Finn and the shop?
I mean, my condition is that I'm Pettigrew's sidekick. I'm going with him to the apothecary.
Yep. I think as you make your way downstairs to the street level, and he looks towards going to the apothecary, like looking up the particular address that they were telling him about.
Mhm.
I believe you see someone down across the street, seems to be looking over at you three, and he has his look is not of London town. He seems to be wearing hunter's clothes. He has a pansy in his cap, a flintlock rifle in one hand, and a hunter's axe in the other. And he kind of calls out to you, even though D.I. Pettigrew is busy twittering away next to you, Sir Atticus. And Dame Georgie, I'm going to say that you see this sight as well, although you might not see him as clearly as Atticus does.
Mhm.
And he calls out to you, Atticus, and says, "We say we love flowers, yet we pluck them. We say we love trees, yet we fell them. We say we love children, yet we raise them for war. Sacrifice begets beauty." And as he finishes saying that, the carriage clops past. And once the carriage goes through, you don't see him anymore across the street.
That sobers Atticus up as swiftly as possible. He calmly takes a cigarette from his personal stash and lights it, and then pulls another one and lights it as well, until he has about maybe 3 going at the same time.
Oh, that person, I think, is stalking us.
You've seen him before.
No, it's just when people say ominous things at you that are oddly relevant, they know more than they let on.
It was a sentiment that my father shared in his pursuit of the hunt. Something of a familial curse.
It seems that we have a bit more in common than I originally anticipated.
Aside from titles, pageantry, and well-fitting clothing.
It depends. Do you really consider that ominous saying to be true to you?
That takes him aback. Flowers were not important until recently, though I couldn't tell you why. Beasts are beautiful, but it's in that struggle. And I know nothing of children. So perhaps it is not as true as my family would have thought.
Hmm. Destruction begets beauty. Destruction begets control.
Hey, can this be a vulnerable scene?
I was gonna say I was gonna ask if you were jonesing for that. Okay.
Yeah,
I didn't mean for it to, but it just kind of works.
I was thinking, like, because of all the smokes, you were trying to
No, I just thought it was a good thing to do because Atticus was off balance.
I mean, it was, but I honestly thought that you were jonesing for vulnerable because I mean, like, D.I. Pettigrew's like off to the side, like thinking upon his notes and like making all these weird jagged lines in his notebook.
If
and
I have
totally oblivious to your conversation, so
if that's cool, may I remove the bloodthirsty condition?
Sure, because I think you're calming yourself the fuck down.
Yeah, between ominous shouting, Dave Georgie just be like, bro, chill, and the smokes. Yeah, I think we're calming down now. We're good. I worked it out of my system.
And Dame Georgie, do you think you have you want to keep that condition on you?
I don't think seeing like the mastermind's servant stare directly at me gets rid of I've got my eye on you.
Okay, it's fine. Oh, really? Why not? No, I'm kidding.
I think it just enforces it.
Yes. When I come back to you guys, I'm going to ask you whether you want to engage with the inviting Dame Georgie to ask you a question, or if you want to make up a clue for the thread. Okay, so
Okay.
let me go back to Finn. Finn, you've got this suit on, and the sisters whom introduce themselves as the Sisters Sandula, they are flanking you, but in such a way that their darkness with their black clothing just accentuates how beautifully perfect this suit is for you and on.
Yeah. And just as a visual note, I think instead of a pocket square, because I think that's a little less era appropriate, I think it's a purple cravat that he kind of ties around his neck, his collar. I'm thinking, if anyone's seen Bram Stoker's Dracula, it's sort of like Gary Oldman's gray suit. But yeah, he's just sort of marveling at himself, adjusting his cravat, and he's styling.
And the sisters, you felt them fit the suit, but it was like they were barely touching you, even though you could see them like with their fine needle and threads. And they were moving so quickly, you couldn't quite catch everything that they were doing. And it felt like you were being pinpricked each time that they were doing this.
I think because I'm mesmerized as a condition too, it probably makes sense that like he's just sort of transfixed by how gorgeous he is, and doesn't really process that he's being, having this sewn onto him.
Pretty much. And as they finish, it's almost like they recede into the background, into the darkness. And then the face of Hazel Beaumont comes over your shoulder in the mirrors as she puts one hand, like each hand on either shoulder. Look at you. You are so beautiful. Did you look this way in the other lands too?
No, I was much more magnificent then.
We can only do so much in this mundane world.
Why have you come here, Miss Beaumont?
Oh,
Why leave? And I wanted to use the information move.
Sure, absolutely. You're going to be put at disadvantage since you are mesmerized, of course. And you want to use presence or sensitivity in this case?
I'm going to use presence.
Okay.
So that's going to be, I'm glad I used presence. It's going to be a 7.
Okay. She comes round to look at you. And she reaches out with her delicate, pale hands and smooths down a cravat very suggestively and pats down the shoulders and down your chest and your arms in a very intimate way. And as she's doing so, she tells you, you ask me why I came. You know there are paths that are alight in different ways. Why do we go where we go? Why do we follow what we see? And why do we come when we could just as easily been gone? Let's just say that moonlight lingers brightly along a specific path and nowhere else, even to this dingy place called London. That is your clue, by the way. Moonlight lingers brightly along a specific path and nowhere else.
Got it.
And all the while she's touching you in this way, she's looking into your deep violet eyes.
What color are her eyes?
She reflected your eyes earlier in the day.
Oh, that's right.
What do you think her eyes look like now?
I think the same color as his. I think it's he feels as if he's looking into his own eyes right now.
And she leans in where the camera will pan in where it's like you just see like the profile of her lips so close to yours. And she says, what do you truly want? You're here too. What do you truly desire?
I think there's something about the question and thinking about it that momentarily breaks him out of the mesmerism, and his eyes blink as if broken from the trance for just a moment. And then he tries to regain his composure and looks at her again. And I think he tries to like position himself as if he's not been broken and kind of like, as if not missing a beat. He goes, well, my dear, if I told you that would give up the game too soon, now wouldn't it?
I think you find yourself hemmed in by the sisters, even though you thought that they had left in talking with Hazel. You're essentially hemmed in. You've been triangulated. Night move. What do you think will go wrong if you fail or lose your nerve?
I think I will become a servant of theirs.
She will have the power to draw upon your heart, your innermost desires, like the strings of a puppet.
What am I rolling with?
Good question. I mean, you're like I'm going to say your sensitivity's twanging like crazy, or you could use composure. And you can also use a personal quarters item. Don't forget about those things.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm not going to use composure. That's a -1 right now. I am going to actually, I'm going to first use my touch of glamour move,
Okay.
which is essentially I conjure or I manifest aspects of my old heritage. And in this case, my heritage as a Ganganak, they don't see it, but we as the audience see his shadow start to shrink in beneath his feet until we realize that he has no shadow. So what that means now that I've taken that on is that any moves taken while using this form are made with sensitivity. And so I'm going to mark that in my move, and I'm going to use sensitivity. And is it disadvantaged because of the mesmerized, or?
Yes.
Okay. Ooh. That is a big ol' 4.
I'm going to say what happens first, and then you can choose. So I think they have hemmed you in. Literally, you feel the Sister Sandula flanking you from behind, one on either side, and Hazel Beaumont is right in front of you. And her lips touch yours, her eyes look into yours, your eyes are wide open. And then you realize as you're looking at her and kissing her that you start to see 4 more eyes appear on her head along the same path. And somehow her shadow gets larger. And you start seeing arms coming out from her shadow. Her gaze does not break. Your gaze does not break, but you feel a searing pain in 6 places on your body as you are lost in her kiss. And she, well, let's just say that at the end of the night, there will be another mannequin, this time in full display with this resplendent suit. But if people take a very close look in it, all the orifices are covered over in cobwebs.
I think I'm going to mark a mask.
Okay. All right, so mark a mask. We'll deal with that in dawn phase. And let's go over to the last unseen before ending night phase. Paint the scene, everyone. Describe someone we see making their way back to their home through the cramped alleys and the desperation that has led them here.
Despite his outward appearances of this very nice looking suit of like purples and greens, he's a bit disheveled, like his coat is like askew, like there's a little bit too much skin in places, and like he has like this big bottle that's unlabeled, but it's very clearly some sort of like alcohol, and he keeps on drinking it. And he's singing, and he's in the wrong part of town. He has no idea where he's at.
There's an older woman. She's probably been aged older than she actually is due to life on the street. Her graying hair is fallen down across her face. It's damp from the earlier rain. She's dressed in ragged attire. She hobbles really through the alleyways and streets of this area in these sort of caked with mud, these slippers. She shuffles along. You see that she's kind of cradling her arms, and she has what looks to be like a swaddle of like a child's blanket, but we see that it's empty. And she just keeps shuffling through the alleyways, and everyone knows who she is and sees her at night, and they see her just muttering to herself, "Atticus, oh, where's my Atticus?"
I think we see one of the pickpockets from earlier making their way through a ruined building to a small little residence that they made for themselves, a couple of waterlogged books, a couple of nice inks, and just things that are nicer. And the largest thing in the room is a portrait of a noble. Can't tell who they are specifically, but we can tell that there is a familial resemblance between our pickpocket and the portrait.
I think after you two have that conversation about the fellow that you saw, I think D.I. Pettigrew finally turns around from his musings and says, I think I have it. I think from all these details that we're getting, I think we're getting close to figuring out who did this. this very strange but yet always nefarious deed. I believe I'm going to have to talk to this apothecary in the morning. Looks like the shop will be closed, of course. The night wanes on.
Of course.
Where will you go?
I imagine we'll go back to Hargrave House.
Yes, back to home. And presumably you go back to your home, D.I. Pettigrew.
Oh, yes, of course, of course. I will be calling upon you tomorrow, perhaps, or, yes, let me let you know where this apothecary's office is, and then meet you there tomorrow, or do you want me to? You know what? I shall come and.
D.I. Pettigrew, please remember your place in all this. You are a public servant, and frankly, with all of this investigation, don't you have some sort of deputies at your disposal rather than calling upon us? Unless this is not an official case that's being investigated by Scotland Yard. But isn't it?
It is. There have been missing persons reported, but by the nature of his death, this does fall under, I suppose, needing to consult with Hargrave House. And Sir Atticus happened to find himself at the crime scene before I got there, and after my constables had searched it for clues.
Then it's settled. We'll see you for breakfast at Hargrave House tomorrow.
Ah, that is a wonderful invitation. I do so appreciate it. 9 o'clock?
Very same. Bring some bread.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. I will see you at 9 tomorrow.
Be safe. Walk with God, Pettigrew.
He gives you a funny look, but then, strides off, almost like a little jaunt in his step.
Atticus will look at his hand for a moment, like, what? Why in places did I say that?
Why did you say that? What are you? Pettigrew's sidekick or something?
If we allow for him to go buzzing about, especially this apothecary's, innocence will be harmed. Dame Georgie, I thought that you were on the side of keeping the common man safe.
I am, but Pettigrew is a nincompoop at best at times, but at worst he's a proper nuisance.
I believe he will serve as bait, at the very least.
Oh my god.
Calm, Dame Georgie. We have to at least see if Finn is doing well.
Hopefully he has at least acquired some tasteful outerwear rather than his usual rags. Even if it's not from me, of course.
You're not going to get me to use that voucher very easily. I'm quite comfortable with my outfit. Thank you very much.
Frankly, I could do a lot more worse things. I know where you sleep, Sir Atticus.
And?
There's the himbo I know and love. All right, wonderful. Going over to Finn. Okay. So you have used a mask. You're bumping it up to 7 to 9 for it.
Yes. I'm going to go ahead, if it's okay for everyone. I'm going to mark the gilded door. I think that in this moment, I think he's using his sense of connection with these other entities, and I think it's gassing him up a bit. I think he's feeling a little bit full of himself.
Yeah, I think Hazel Beaumont's eyes linger upon you, and as she tries to, bring you under her sway, I think your violet eyes meet, and there's a little glow behind hers, but then she realizes what you're doing, and she will back off just a little with a smile. almost having embraced you in that way, but then smiles and says, "Do you like your suit?"
My dear, it's exquisite. As a matter of fact, if the sisters here wouldn't mind, I'd love to take them on the town and give it a spin.
I think you will be an excellent advertisement for my work. This is one of the best pieces I've done in some time. And you are uniquely suited
Ah,
to display this to its utmost. Please take it and wear it. I do, though, invite you 4 nights hence for the Midsummer Masquerade. Some of my work will be shown there. You can choose to wear this suit or come back and get another one. Maybe disguise yourself as something you're not, or more of what you are.
and what would it gain me if I, say, referred my housemates to get a suit of their own choosing? That afford me any favor with you?
Interesting bargain. Would you
Think on
say,
it,
yes, I
of
shall,
course.
but consider this. And as you well know, what does it mean to get a gift from the Fae? What does it mean to owe a favor? And this
Of
is where she
course.
this is where she will somehow be taller than you now and give you a kiss on the forehead.
He will take it blithely, and when she lifts herself up from his head, he'll just sort of jut his arms out, hooking them, like as if waiting to be hooked by the sisters, and say, "Well, ladies, shall we?"
And we shall close out of night phase and into the dawn. All right, we're back. And before we get to dawn phase, let me check in with Sir Atticus. Sir Atticus, you said you had a clue from your smoky vulnerable move. So what clue did you want to present
I have
for
to.
the list?
Okay.
And there's also the choice of me picking a clue that hasn't been used yet, but it's more fun if you come up with it. You know what I mean?
I think it is. Oh darn! What are they called? Patterns. When there's an outfit, it's like the blueprint for an outfit.
Yeah,
Patterns.
Yeah, a pattern. I think it is a pattern. But aside from the numerical measurements, the rest of it is written in a language that we do not understand. And if someone were to do a handwriting analysis, someone might see that the language there is the same as the one in the fairy tale book, but maybe. Unless.
Okay. All right. Fabulous. Okay. So that puts 9 clues on the dock for Spider Silk Seamstress. All right, let's start with dawn phase. All right, nothing's resolved yet. So answering dawn questions. Did the hunters answer a question? Nope. Did the hunters resolve a threat? No. Did you experience an echo in the night? Dame Georgie.
Yes,
You did, yeah.
Several times by referencing like the canes, the outfits, and just the general not knowing where you are at, sort of like the referencing the fey nature of the scene that Finn was in.
Yeah. Did you leverage your social status to gain the upper hand?
I tried, but I did not gain the upper hand, so I don't meet that question.
Okay. Did you have a face-to-face encounter with the mastermind?
Last session I did. It kind of like face to mirror, but I think it still counts.
That still counts, yes, absolutely. So go ahead and fill in your XP track and then clear your dawn questions. Pick new ones if you like. Sir Atticus did not answer a question, did not resolve a threat. Did you experience an echo in the night? I pretty much heard at least one, if not more. Did you taste someone or something else's blood, sweat, or other bodily fluids?
Last session, there was a weird fey cocoon, and I just decided to take one of the fairy leaves and snack on that with some of the cocoon juice, and I thought that was pretty appropriate.
Sure. My God. Did you revel in the thrill of the hunt?
I think so. Last session when we were doing the in medias res,
Yeah, that's
it was-
fine. That's
what about the
perfect.
big evil tree? Yes, let's go. Our battle will be legendary.
Oh my gosh, you're so blustery. It's so fun. Oh, and then because I think for your move with the cosmic passage, I think you were supposed to describe which aspect of the beast you were closest to when you rolled for advantage. So
And that was breathing in deep and getting the senses and everything.
Got it.
Predator
Cool.
in the scene.
Cool. All right, great. So go ahead and mark your XP track, clear your dawn questions, and pick new ones if you like. All right. And then Finn, no question answered, no threat resolved. Did you experience an echo in the night? I'm pretty sure I heard.
Yeah, the ribbons.
Absolutely. Go for it. Did you lie or trick your way into gaining something without using magic?
Well, that's a question. Because in the last session, I met Miss Beaumont and we exchanged looks and what have you, but I didn't use any of my magic to get access to her. So I don't know if getting the suit was me gaining something without using magic, or was something
I'm gonna
offered.
say yes, because I
Okay.
mean, like, yeah, you weren't utilizing any particular, like, except for your very face self.
Yeah.
So wasn't using purposeful magic. Okay. Did you reveal your ancestry to another supernatural entity in effort to gain their favor?
Yeah.
Yeah. For sure.
Miss Beaumont
Absolutely.
knows what I'm about.
Oh yeah. Staring violet eyes to violet eyes, for sure. Take those XP points and clear your dawn questions, and then change them if you like. All righty. And then I'm just going to go ahead and let's see. I believe this clears your cosmic passage because it only goes through the night phase, I believe.
For Atticus?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So that clears. And then
Oh, wait, like the actual mask? No, the mask stays. Like I have to do that roll every dusk.
Right. Every dusk. But I mean, like the advantage to your rolls only applies for that particular night phase following.
Oh, it only applies for one roll.
Okay. Got it. Okay. Let me just double check that. Next roll. Yeah. Okay. Great. Just want to make sure I understand, because sometimes it like lasts for the entire phase. Okay. And I think I am owed a mask. Someone rolled a 3 or 4.
That would be Finn Quickley.
Yeah, and I marked the gilded door.
Ah, yes. Okay. Most beloved. And if anybody remembers from last time, from playing the Between before, yes, most beloved is a interesting condition and cannot be removed. An undeniable can remove it, but others cannot. And I think that's it for dawn phase. All right. So we will go into day phase. And day phase can open up with vulnerable moves, establishing scenes in London, and then you can continue your investigations. But, however, let's just say that before D.I. Pettigrew comes over for breakfast, Finn, you get a delivery to the door, to you directly. The Fig family sent you one of their famous Fig's pigs, a meat pie with a little pig stamped on the crust. You enjoyed the first few bites before realizing it contained human meat. What gave it away?
Interesting. Well, I was thinking he was just eating regular bacon, kind of gnawing into it. But then as he pulled out what felt like a particularly stringy or sinewy part. He realized that it was a piece of flesh that looked like it had a tattoo on it.
Yep. And didn't have to worry about calling Scotland Yard because as soon as D.I. Pettigrew came on the doorstep, I think you let him know exactly what was going on. Excuse me, Mr. Fig was arrested. His wife and 2 sons managed to escape capture. Mr. Fig is being held at Bethlehem Royal Hospital. He won't tell the inspectors anything about where his family might be, though he may have been singing a little song about them. Sing a song of 3 figs, the apples of my eye. Snatch a bunch of long pigs and bake them into pies. First comes little Patrick, about on paw or hoof. He thinks he's an animal and has since troubled youth. Bert the blade has fine taste, more than most I know. It has to be the right pig, see? The meat must be just so. My love, my la bella Hortensia, the gravy to my crust, to hold that which she loved and lost, she'll do what she must. Sing a song of 3 figs, the names you all now know. You'll see them down old London town, and in the sack you'll go. Amazingly, Scotland Yard has asked for Hargraves House's help in capturing the figs. They want to keep the investigation of the figs pie shop in Shoreditch fairly quiet, without official police presence, so as not to set off a pie hysteria throughout the city. You have come to the conclusion that Mr. Figs's song is a guide for how to find the other figs. If it has helped you form some questions, the answers to which will lead to their capture. So, the questions that are available to answer, What kind of animal does Patrick Fig think he is? A complexity 2. Lure the animal out in the open and then capture or destroy him. What type of victim does Obert Fig prefer? Also complexity 2. Lure Obert Fig to you, then capture or destroy him. And then what did La Hortensia Fig lose that she's trying to recapture or remember? Also complexity 2. Find La Hortensia and then capture or destroy her. There is a special rule to this particular threat. All 3 loose figs must be captured or destroyed for this threat to be considered resolved. And I believe that there's also another little bit to this where I think you can capture them in any order, but the threat is only resolved or can only be resolved at night when you capture or destroy the last fig. Okay, so. And there is a threat mask associated with this called the Mask of the Pig. All right, so that is available for you to use. And I do not believe, please correct me if I'm wrong, because I'm also running this in another campaign, but Spider Silk Seamstress's Mask of Glamour was not used yet.
No, it hasn't been used.
Right, so make sure that you do use it before the threat is resolved, otherwise you lose it, okay? So, again, day phase commences. Commence investigation, go through.
Yeah. I want to have this vulnerable scene with Atticus.
Yep.
And then I don't think he cares much about these pigs, especially after just eating a pie from them. So I think that he's going to try and do some more investigating on the spider silk seamstress, but I'll wait to figure out which location because I don't remember what they are.
I mean, if you're going to be doing a vulnerable, do we want to do that and then go forward with things, or
Well, let me check in with Dame Georgie first too.
Mm-hmm.
Well, unfortunately, I have this weird magical mirror in my pocket. I would like to take a look at that, possibly find a place within my room to put it somewhere, because it's very sharp, so I can't hold it like a normal handheld mirror. And yeah, I think I'm going to go investigate the fix pigs because I think we do have enough clues for the Spider Silk seamstress, and we just need to answer a question at this point because
Mhm.
we do have like 9 clues.
Yeah, I wanted to ask if we could just figure out what the creature's true name is and then kill it.
I can tell you now that Finn doesn't want to do that at all.
I mean, wanting to listen, shortcutting it and making sure that Finn isn't ensorcelled anymore is part of the reason why I want to just kind of deal with that.
Oh man, that's funny.
But that's what the vulnerable scene's for. So you can,
Yeah.
so you can unsorcel me.
Okay.
Ooh.
All right. There we go.
Mhm.
I don't know. Depending on whether I get rid of Pettigrew's sidekick, I might have to follow Pettigrew on this investigation to the apothecary's lab.
Mhm.
If it goes away, I don't know, I'm kind of with Dame Georgie on this one. Like, we have plenty of clues to answer one of the questions for the seamstress. And there's a guy who thinks he's an animal. I hunt animals. This match made in heaven. I want to track this guy down.
Okay. All right. So pigs. And then Finn, you wanted to go ahead and investigate more with
Maybe, yeah. They both made a good point about there being plenty of clues.
Mhm.
So I don't know. I think that I think I do want to actually go to do some investigating. I think that he'll go back to Hazel Beaumont's, but I
Mhm.
think he wants to check out the basement.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay. So yeah. So for a vulnerable move, again, it just depends on whose vice is being used, and then that person would set up the scene. Okay.
So if you're cool with it, Mike, I'm going to use my vice, which is casual trysts, and so I think in the morning, Finn had answered the door, got the delivery, had the pie, was revolted by it, and went back upstairs. And I think later in the afternoon, D.I. Pettigrew came by to not only check in on his best boy, Sir Atticus, but also to deliver the news about figs. But at some point, during this conversation between the two of them, Finn kind of crawls out from the salon where he sort of crashed out, and he is wearing nothing but his open linen shirt and one of the black satin gloves, but it has been, shall we say, cupped around his nether regions, and so it's basically like a sock. But as he just sort of enters the parlor, just sort of like tousling his hair, he looks at Atticus and D.I. Pettigrew, and he goes, "Oh, you're still here."
Dear God, lad, there's cannibals loose, and you have your box and tackle just laying about.
Well, it's protected by satin, at least. Inspector, though, could you give us a moment, at least, for me to get decent? Unless you don't want that. And and Finn just sort of winks at him.
And D.I. Pettigrew is completely agog. Appreciates the package. He'll actually look you up and down, and then turn away with some
Ayo.
sense of decorum. And then well, I guess I have excuse me, overstayed my welcome.
Yes, we'll catch you at the apothecary's shop.
Yes, absolutely. You have the address, you have the name.
Indeed.
I will see
Here's
it.
some. Yep. Have a good day.
And he doesn't turn back around, and he just kind of like waves.
Safe travels, Detective Inspector.
You too.
And when he leaves, Finn just sort of saunters back into the salon, and he just sort of reclines on one of the lounges and just starts to rifle through, pulling out a cigarette and just lighting it up.
Atticus is gonna follow with some breakfast. because, like, yeah, you're a lot, but also you've got to be hungry. Atticus is here for basic human needs, for variable definitions of human at this point.
Oh, bless your heart. Thank you. And he takes the tray and just sets it aside and just keeps smoking.
So, what did you do yesterday, honestly? Are you well?
Yeah, and quite frankly, I've never been better. I had twins last night. But, you see, I went to Miss Beaumont's atelier, and well, she made me a wonderful suit. It's over there, and he points out the suit just sort of piled in a corner on a messed up bearskin rug by the fireplace.
You don't say. She just gave you a suit.
Oh, of course. I mean, I'm something of a model, really. You know, she said I display her work elegantly, and I'm who might argue with an artist of her craft.
Eyes like Narcissus, a body like Adonis, and the like. Yes, I understand.
You said it, not me. What about you? What did you and Dame Georgie get up to?
Atticus will light a cigarette, since, I mean, we're both smoking at this point. Talking with a bunch of posh nonsense. Antiquarians who believe that they have a keen eye for the occult. A couple of them actually knew what they were talking about, but a number of them were merely there for the conversation and the drinks, social standing and the like.
And did Pettigrew tag along this time?
Pettigrew is integral in asking obvious questions that didn't necessarily contribute to the investigation, but acted as
the details, blah, blah, blah. Yes.
Dame Georgie was able to point out a couple of things. I was able to find a fancy book, a couple of pictures, but the words seemed to be interesting, so.
Do you know how to read?
Oh, dear God, man, yes.
Just asking. I mean,
just because I prefer pictures in my books does not mean that I can't enjoy a proper American novel like. Well, I can't think of one right now, but by God, I can read. Most assuredly.
I was just asking. Well, I really must be off. I'm sure you have much to do with Pettigrew. Can I just say, though? Really have to cut the cord with him. He's a cop.
Yes.
A Bobby.
Yes. There's also the fact that he has an idea of what London's finest, so to speak, is doing. And the more that we know about where they're going, the more likely we can divert them to somewhere where they don't get hurt.
Fair enough. All I'm saying is that don't get too attached. I know he's adorable like a puppy, you know, that push broom mustache. He looks like a terrier. But remember who and what he is.
Human?
Well, but a cop. Someone who, well, can get in our way if things go south for us.
Yes. Yes.
You only have this house to trust, Sir Atticus.
Yes, that's a very good point. And I think we kind of cut the scene there with them kind of in a moment of silence, embers of the cigarettes going out.
Yeah, I think because he hasn't actually touched the breakfast, he just sort of puts the cigarette out in the eggs and just reclines on the couch.
Oh my gosh. So both vices were in play. I mean, whose do you want to use? Let's put it that way.
Oh, I figured that, I mean, Jack set up the scene.
Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect.
It'll be mine.
All right. So you can either invite Sir Atticus to ask you a question about your past or create a clue.
I'm actually going to create a clue.
Sure.
Let me
For
think
which
about
threat?
it, though.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Yeah, let me think about it.
Okay.
But
can you put a TBD on the
a TBD? I'll put a TBD, but Finn will stand up and say, I'll be off. And when he turns around, of course, you see like the bottom of his butt, but then he just rips off the glove and tosses it back over to Atticus.
Atticus is gone. Atticus is not here. He does not want to get hit by the sock, the glove. No, he's out.
The love glove. Yeah.
The love glove. There we go. He's out.
I love this so much. You have no idea. Oh my God. Okay. Dame Georgie, did you want to engage? I thought that Sir Atticus wanted to engage with Dame Georgie about what they saw.
Well, no, more like, hey, I appreciate you telling me how to properly conduct myself, but also screw you. Why are you talking down to me? I thought we were working together on this, but I don't know. The moment's kind of passed at this point.
I feel like you cleared your condition. Did I clear my condition though?
Yeah, that's a quite good question.
Yeah.
What's your condition? Mesmerized?
Yeah.
What is the nature? What is the nature of the mesmerized? Like, is it like I am focused on Spider Lady, or?
Yeah, I think it's just Miss Beaumont's influence. I don't know if I cleared it.
You had an entire evening with Spider Twins, and then got to be sassy in the morning. Like, I think you worked it out of your system at this point. Between that and then a new dawn, I would argue that
it is really up to you. I
All
mean,
right.
do you think?
Yeah. Let me think about this.
You have a lot to think about. It's great. While you're thinking, I'm going to go to Dame Georgie. All right. Yeah. So Dame Georgie, let's see. So for Figs Pigs, again, you have the 3 different questions from Mr. Fig's song. All right. Conceivably, you could talk to him over at Bedlam, but you know how that goes. That's probably not going to get you anything except more song. So there is okay, because they're keeping it quiet, the pie shop is being closed indefinitely. Like, you know, maybe they're on holiday or whatever, that they've closed temporarily closed it to other folks, but yeah, it's shut down. So conceivably you could go over to Figs Pigs itself and investigate. That is also their living quarters as far as you understand it. So there's plenty to see in there if you want. And then
I will reiterate, because it may have gotten missed in the shuffle, because like I know like Sir Atticus went as a scene but then changed his mind because we had like a scene during the night phase that sort of covered that. So instead so I have this mirror that's very suspicious that cuts my hand when I try to look into it. So I want to like see if like I can just set it up in my room to like get a better look at it, to see what it is besides being a mirror, because like mirrors that cut your hands are a little bit weird and esoteric.
So you're going to be setting this up in your room?
Yes.
By yourself?
Presumably, unless do you want me to spend an REC slot to like get one of my fellow Explorers Club member to come in and assist me, because I do have what's his name?
I mean, do you want Atticus to help? He's coming around and just like doing the rounds and making sure that everyone's still in one piece after.
Sure, I'll have Atticus help.
Okay. So you set up this mirror. You can foretell Atticus's arrival by a wave of smoke from like his cigarettes, pipe, what have you.
Yeah, like I imagine like I have this sort of like little stand where I could like typically just set up paper to like look at it and on my desk, but instead I put the mirror upside down so the handle's upright because it won't fit otherwise.
Okay.
And I'm just looking at it befuddled because I'm not very sensitive.
Atticus is gonna drop off a sandwich, I guess, just something more delicate, a cucumber sandwich with a side of tea, who
Mhm.
knows. It's just like, don't think your reflection's going to change very much.
Mhm. Yes, it doesn't really reflect too much of anything. You see how foggy it is. But this mirror, its handle is sharp like glass, as though its teeth cutting into your hand.
And you paid for it? Dear God, man.
I wouldn't exactly say paid for it, but
You stole it, you dog.
well,
Doing Her Majesty right.
eh, I mean, Her Majesty the Queen does have a dog called Booty.
Very well. All the same, though, this is quite the curiosity.
Mhm. Yes, and when I bled on the mirror initially because I didn't realize it was sharp, a different reflection showed, not of my face, but of someone else's, a person I don't recognize.
And this troubles you? And he'll just take
It's
a
a
puff of his
magic
cigarette.
mirror. Of course it troubles me. This is Hargrave House's business, but however, it's so far not malicious, as far as I can tell.
I mean, if you can't control it, then you have to assume it's malicious. Otherwise, you're leaving yourself open.
You can't control the weather either, and the weather's not malicious.
The weather also doesn't show you visions from beyond time and space. The weather also doesn't have creaking below a bed or turn you into a porcupine or some other nonsense, whatever Hargrave House has about its ways.
Do you want to take a look at it?
Yes, of course. Sorry.
Because,
Analogies are not my strong suit, it seems.
yes, maybe if you poke at it enough, that something will pop out and it scare us both.
Pish posh. Atticus is just gonna go ahead and grab the handle. I mean, if grabbing the handle and spattering some blood is what did the work, then I guess that's how you turn it on. Is Atticus's thought. Mads, does the mirror activate? Is it only keyed to Dame Georgie? How hurt am I?
Do you wear gloves or like you know what I mean, like the
Oh, this? No, absolutely not. Not while we're not on the job.
okay. So in which case, yes, it's like if you just casually grasp the pommel, I'm going to say that you do feel like a slice in your hand, like a bad paper cut, basically. And it's like you release the mirror and you can see the bloom of a bloody smile in your palm.
Fair enough.
Yep.
And then I just kind of tap the glass of the mirror to see if the cloudiness waves itself.
Yeah. I'm going to say you play with roses and you get the thorns.
Mm-hmm.
Roll me
Yes.
something. Roll me.
Sensitivity.
Of course.
Alrighty.
Is it a day move or night move?
I'm going to say at this point, you're doing blood, aren't you? Yeah, I'm going to call this a night move.
Oh, no.
Can I at least have advantage from Dame Georgie telling me how the thing works?
Sure.
Heck yeah.
I'll mark the mirror because like that does count.
Yeah.
Goodbye, mirror.
Okay. What am I afraid is going to happen?
If you fail or lose your nerve, yes. What do you happen?
Dame Georgie, could you remind a good chap what happened the last time you turned on the mirror?
There was this very beautiful woman appeared in it, and she looked directly at me. She haunts my dreams now.
Pretty woman looked at me and I can't stop thinking about her. Okay, all right.
You get the feeling that Dame Georgie may be a little bit charmed by all of this, because typically, like, he's not exactly known for being a go-getter with the supernatural stuff.
I'm gonna take an opposite tack. Hey, Mads, last season, we killed a Fae Queen. Spoilers. I would say that this pretty lady that may be favor-related on the other side looks at me and is utterly upset and is going to send whatever goons she possibly can after me. That is what I am afraid of. She's going to be like, oh, Atticus is here? Kill that guy. Kill him fast. How can you make this worse?
I'm going to say you're going to be drawn into the environment.
Oh, I'm going to teleport? Okay.
Yes.
Let's go.
Like your brains haven't already been scrambled by your portal shift already. But sure, let's go for it.
Sidebar, maybe I should just make my custom move going through portals, man, at this point. All right, let's go. I can't make this up.
Oh no.
There are 3 1s before me right now.
Oh.
Love that.
I would like to mark the Mask of Glamour, please, to save me from being kidnapped by the Fae. Thank you very much.
Oh, yes, honey. Oh, my God. I got to write this down.
I hate to say this, but technically this is not related. Wait, oh, I did find it in the face shop, so okay.
Yeah, it is. Oh, good catch, but
yeah.
I gotcha.
Yeah, because I was like, oh, this is mastermind stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, hold on. So is it mastermind stuff? Do I need to mark like a personal mask, or can I mark?
I went back because I did find it in the face shop, so it is related to the threat, technically speaking. But that's up to Matt at this point.
Right. I mean, it is a mastermind. It is a mastermind clue thing. Yes. But I mean, you know, it was found in the face in Hazel Beaumont's shop. So
we take those. I will 100% mark the Mask of Glamour in a selfish role. Please save me from being kidnapped. What do we all have to narrate?
Yes. Okay. So you can raise your roll to 7 to 9. My God. Oh, this will be fun. All right. Give me a second. Mask of Glamour. Each hunter narrates a flashback to a time where they peered through the veil and glimpsed another world beyond this one.
So not like literally right now, the thing that I am doing.
Right.
Okay, I had to narrate another time where I've done this exact same thing.
Correct.
Cool.
Correct. I mean, considering last season the way it was, you have so much spoiled for choice. Oh my God. Oh my God. Yeah. Anyway. So yeah, 7 to 9. Just going over that one again because I always forget how that works. Okay. So night move, 7 to 9, you do it or hold steady, but there's a complication or cost. The keeper describes what it looks like. I think appearing in the mirror is a swirl of this dark fog.
Mm-hmm.
You see beyond the fog lines of a place forming. And you see there's an amaranth plant. The fog starts to form tendrils and swirls that look like what would be recognized as a bleeding heart amaranth plant. And it's feeding on something that looks distinctly cardiac, let's put it that way.
Okay.
Yeah. And you can see that particular thing beating.
And
as it's feeding, as it's being fed upon.
And what is the complication you would lay upon me? I gave you Faye Hitman.
Oh no, I know. I think behind the amaranth plant, you see somebody stoop down and you see it's that person that you saw on the street the night before. And he's looking directly at you.
Nope.
He's looking directly at you and bringing up his axe. And he's mouthing, you can't hear him, but he's mouthing, "I'm coming for you."
All right. Cool.
And then the fog swirls in and the vision fades from the mirror. And your palm is slick with blood.
Bloody hell, you have a lot more luck with this mirror than I do.
Yes, I didn't cut my hand as quite as bad as you.
We have extra sheets. I'm gonna grab some of Dame Georgie's sheets and wrap my hand.
Disgusting.
I'm sorry, did you want me to bleed all over your fine Persian rug?
No, but still. Ugh.
What is the meaning of the amaranth flower?
Amaranth.
You're lucky I recognize the flower.
I think it's a purple type of flower.
Yes, when it's feeding on soil or blood or hearts or whatever else you like, yes.
Typically, when you crushed it up, it's almost looks like has a similar type of color to a deep crimson. It's very good in dyes.
But is it used in any sort of ritual, any tie to Fey mysticism or the like? Please don't tell me we have to go back to all those old biddies at the Peacock Room.
As far as I'm aware, I don't know. But I do have other contacts besides the ones that you did upset, so I know people.
She seemed pleasant enough as long as we made our leave.
I mean, I could always... before you actually came in, I was considering just visiting Sir Anthony Reesewood. He knows for the cults he does actually practice magic, and pretty sure he has a scrying pool in his flat.
My God, you don't need me at all for any of this.
No, but you were here, so I figured that instead of walking across town, I could just have you do something stupid.
Words hurt, Dame Georgie. Remember this.
I'm just trying to poke and prod to see what exactly you are like. You're still... You baffle me. You don't act... You don't act as though you come from royal blood or any sort of nobility.
How did you... No, I can't ask that. I can't ask personal questions.
You could try to initiate a vulnerable scene with me, but it has to be my advice.
Does it though? I could be smoking. I could be smoking super hard. And it could be my vice instead.
But then I would ask you a question instead.
Darn it!
An idea. You do have a bloody sheet across your hand.
I do.
You could throw that on me.
Why though?
Because it's gross, and I would not like that.
Atticus would not do that. Okay. Suffice to say,
Atticus cannot trigger Dame Georgie's vice.
Darn it.
He's too nice.
Well, no. You will say that I do not act as somebody who is landed, who has a title. And Atticus's response will be, there are different ways of earning a title. Some are bought, some are earned through duty to the crown, and others are earned through valor in eliminating certain creatures. There are different duties to be done, and different bits of honor and decorum that come with them as such. I will leave you to your bloodied mirror and your contacts and the like. But at least do me a kindness and make sure that you eat before you go out.
I will eat what you have brought me.
And Atticus will nod, and he will go on his way.
And I will turn my attention to the sandwich that got left on the a side table.
Finn, do you... I don't know. I guess it would be silly to ask, but I will ask it anyway. Do you just stroll into the shop and then try to make your way boldly downstairs to the basement, or do you?
No. He knows a little better. And I think that like he's not doing this maliciously. He unlike Atticus does not want to kill her. It's more about like curiosity and knowing. It's always better to have the upper hand in this sort of deals. And so if he can drag up any kind of secrets or dirt on her to use at a later point, even better. So I think that he's definitely like, he's not bringing his suit. He's like wearing darker clothing, or at least like less obvious clothing. It's just very much kind of blending in as much as he can. But he's definitely stealthing there.
Okay.
Trying to break in.
Cool. Would you say you're going through the back, or like trying to find like a back entrance?
Yeah, if there's a back entrance, he's gonna take the back door.
Sure. All right. Go ahead and roll me a composure. Trying to stealth your way in.
Okay. All right. I'm gonna keep mesmerized for right now, just so I think that it's not fully been cleared.
Sure.
Do you want me to roll with disadvantage or?
Yeah, I think anywhere you're in proximity to Hazel Beaumont and her environs, it's like you're naturally going to be engaged in that way or distracted. Yeah.
Got it. That's a 2 total.
What are you people doing? Are you trying to just?
We're not treating our dice well. I'm sorry, Mads.
I'm just worried that this is going to end up like last season. I'm going to have to come up with another.
It will. It is going to end exactly like that, Mads.
I have to do another custom threat. It'll be great. I'm sorry.
Yeah, let me go ahead and mark a mask.
Oh my god.
You could just give us free masks. That's all. You don't even need to tie a threat to it. Just they fall out of the back of a
must
truck.
earn them.
Darn it.
We could also do more vulnerable scenes to get rid of like conditions.
Also true.
Also true. Okay. All right. Oh my gosh. Okay, composure. Sorry. 729. Complication, either with the clue itself or a complication you encounter while searching. I'm gonna give you this clue, and then we're gonna cliffhanger on a complication. I think as you make your way into the shop, you try the door. Maybe you've learned a few things in your travels and, some skills. You manage to break into the back door. But as you're doing this, there's a particular person that stumbles down the street. We're going to say that the back door is at the same level as the street, but kind of like in a recess behind one of the corners. And somebody stumbles into this side alley corner place and sees you and says, or like, comes over to you and desperately clutches at you and says, starts speaking in quick and desperate Italian, and then just kind of like gets a hold of themselves, like, as much as possible, and says, Tutte bene, sir. I don't know where I am. I thought I was heading to my parents' cafe, and now I'm here. I don't understand.
Well,
Help. And he faints in your arms. And it is a beautiful Italian young man. And he is dressed as a cafe server. And he faints in your arms.
Finn looks down at him, his beautiful jaw just sort of turned up towards him, and he says, we'll have to get more acquainted when you're awake. In the meantime, and he'll just sort of drag his body towards the alley and just sort of set him in a pile of refuse, and just put like a little bit of I don't know, garbage stuff on top of him, just to kind of conceal him. and I'll leave him there.
I'm going to make a note of that. He is a clue, by the way, but it's a little complicated now.
What, hot Italian?
Yes, the hot Italian.
Right.
So anyway, we're going to close out on this particular part of day phase. We will continue onward next time. So I just wanted to leave some room for stars and wishes. All right, so we end on time.
Awesome.
Yeah, so again, anything that you appreciated about today's gameplay, each other, the session, and wishes are things that you'd like to see for the future and or next time. Okay, I actually do have a few that I've written down, and if I can only read my scribbles. So if anybody wants to go first, please do, because I got to figure out what my scribbles say.
I gotta give a star for our sassy cop, brute cop, and logic cop routine. With the breaking and entering, even though technically the door wasn't locked, probably. Also a star for the suit description, that was beautiful. Star for the night move with Miss Beaumont, that was terrifying and I loved every moment of it. Just a star for Atticus and every vulnerable scene I had with him. It was just amazing. It just accidentally stumbling into that while we were like interacting with like mastermind stuff, as well as like later with the mirror. It's just like, oh, that's cursed. Why does Georgie have that? And Georgie's like, it's mine now. It should not be Georgie's, but oh well. I also star for almost seducing D.I. Pettigrew. I'm ready for that to happen. I didn't know I wanted that to happen, but I'm just like ready for that. I can't think of one book right now, but I can read. The Love Glove. And I'm looking forward to figuring out what a hot Italian is doing here. Who is this guy? Why did you leave him in the trash? How could you?
I have things to do, okay?
This handsome guy falls on my lap and put him in the garbage.
I mean, it's really kind of a metaphor for his entire outlook on relationships.
Mhm.
Fair.
Wishes. I want to at some point have my main playbook move, the grand game, go off, because technically with that I can have vulnerable scenes with the mastermind.
You can call upon that at any point. I
Yeah,
believe you could just tell me when.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah, I want to build into it a little bit, and that's why I was messing around with the mirror this session. Trying to get her to come to London itself.
I just think it's hilariously funny that like Atticus stepped in and ended up getting tagged himself. I probably should condition that just for funsies.
I mean, you could just say marked by that person.
Yeah.
Faye's most wanted.
No, not all Faye.
The Axeman cometh.
Oh, I
Ooh.
love it.
Ooh, there we
Me
go.
too. Go for it. Beautiful. That was absolutely beautiful. There you go. Love it.
Yeah, no, a lot happened tonight, and it was fun. Star for Mads, I liked your portrayal of Miss Beaumont. It's like this like seductive but also menacing approach was very nice. Definitely what I kind of envision when I think of Miss Beaumont. I really liked the dynamic between Atticus and Georgie. I'm looking forward to the time when Atticus puts Georgie in his place, because I think secretly Dame Georgie wants that. He likes to poke buttons and see how much you can get away with until someone pushes back. And just as wishes, I'm curious how we're going to answer the spider silk seamstress threat, because I think that we all have different goals that we want to achieve with this. I can tell you that I'm definitely aiming for the 8 complexity. So let's think on that. But and I love fixed pigs. It's one of my favorite threats. So I'm excited to see how you interpret it.
We will go in a circle. Chaotic. I enjoy Dame Georgie being very much the proper, dignified British noble to Sir Atticus's Doc Savage sort of like, the title is just something that was given to me. I don't really need to work for it. So I like that dichotomy. I think that it will be a push and pull between the gentlemanly versus the I want to get stuff done. I look forward to that. The vulnerable scenes were like all 3 of them were all very good and I enjoyed them. So thank you for that. Jack, every time Finn walks in, he is just down to clown. Like no matter what it is. Yes, the threat is here. Free clothes? Sure. Creepy twins? Casual tryst, let's go. Like you dedicate to whatever scene you're in, and to the point where it's like, I'm mesmerized. Could I get rid of this? Do I feel like I got rid of this? I'll keep it just in case. I think it'll be good. Like you dedicate very strongly there, and I appreciate that about you playing characters, but especially as Finn. Mads, I don't know a lot about the Between. So when you mention that Finn is eating some cannibal pie and then you break out into song, it took me a couple of steps to realize, oh, right, there's another threat that's happening. So kudos to the song, because I imagine that they just give you some text and you need to figure out what the musical tune is. It was good. It was solid. I felt like I was trapped in a cell with a creepy man who was singing like a nursery rhyme to me. I thought it was great. And also thank you for dealing with all the BS of Sir Atticus being himbo that kicks down the door rather than talk with civilized folk in a civilized fashion. I am transforming this gothic horror campaign into something closer to like the 2000s Mummy. So thank you. Wishes.
I did have a star. I forgot to mention. It was brief, but when you put the door back up,
Perfect character moment. Absolutely.
I want to go back to the peacock room for the sole purpose of this old lady being there and being like, "Oh no, he's back," and then just answering our questions for the sole purpose of getting Atticus out of there as quickly as possible. Wish. I want to punch Spider Lady in the face. Like, I know we're going for the 8 complexity. Oh, we'll get her on our side. She'll work for us. No. Atticus is 100% here for it. It's a fae. I want to punch it. Let's go. It's simple. Also, Finn, my buddy, is mesmerized by the lady with a lot of legs. Not good. Not cool. Want to get rid of that as quickly as possible. Also, reenacting the most dangerous game in Gothic London is also a wish. I don't know who this youngest son is, but having to stalk him from the rooftops as, I don't know, maybe he thinks he's a leopard or something, and then just reenacts, oh darn, what is it? It was an old movie. The Leopard Man? No, probably not. It was a, well, whatever. Point is, yeah, I'm ready to hunt down this crazed cannibal man next session, hopefully, maybe. If not, I'm here to have a good time.
And a good time is had by all. I mean, definitely I did. So, I mean, all of the stars that were mentioned already, I mean, just brilliant. And then, I mean, as a whole, Jack, I mean, I am always appreciating your, and if it's improv, even better, because you're so thorough. You're so, like, you tell a story within the story of the narration. So I'm like, you get it from soup to nuts. You know what you're getting in the particular scene that you're relating to us. And I can totally picture it in my head because you think cinematically, and so do I. So I'm just like, oh my gosh, that's amazing. So from your unseen to your mask to like describing the suit, I mean, it was all wonderful. And again, so easily pictured that it was like it was playing in front of us for sure. So definitive stars for that. Dame Georgie, I mean, you are a character. And your characters always seem to be collecting things. So, I mean, this is not a surprise that you have this dangerous mirror in your possession. So I can't wait to see what ends up happening with this. And yes, I mean, please do call upon the grand game and, you know, like get those vulnerable scenes in, get those just conversations with the mastermind talking, because I mean, like, I'd like to see your interpretation of the explorer. I now have an explorer in every single campaign of the Between that I am running. So this is interesting. This is very interesting to me. And everybody's got a different interpretation. So, I mean, you know, you're holding on your stoicism to trying to hold on to whatever dignity you can give to the situation and some gravitas. I mean, seems to be a great foil for Sir Atticus and his, I'm just going to say it, British himboism. Okay. So, I mean, like, that's just going to be like, I think this is going to be the byplay that we see. And I don't mind this. I mean, like, granted, there's going to be some dark moments and there's going to be like, you know, semi-humorous stuff like this. And I think it works out well. I think it hasn't gone to the point where I'm like, oh shit, like, you know, we're over the top campy and then this has completely changed the tenor of what we're doing. But it also hasn't gotten deep, dark, and serious yet. You know that from last season that we have to dig deep into the campaign before that shit starts coming out for sure. So, I mean, it's early days yet, and I'm excited to see all of this. And again, Sir Atticus, I mean, always happy to see him. I don't want to say blunder his way through a scene, because that's not how it goes. It's like he is being him. He is being the fullest Sir Atticus he can possibly be, and I'm here for it. I mean, I will go with whatever you have and make you pay for it. So remember, you have custom moves that are in the moves reference tab. There are things hanging over from last season that you can totally use. And I've already planned, as a wish, if you ever do use Voidwalker and you do a miss, Sir Atticus, I will make you pay in spades. I can't wait.
Hold on, doesn't the miss kill you?
So I'm sorry?
Doesn't the miss kill you if you miss in Voidwalker?
Voidwalker, on a miss, unmark the cosmic passage and then cross it off your sheet.
No, I'm confusing it with the Time and Tide. That's the one where you lose
that's the one where you lose it.
You just die. Okay,
right. But yeah, I mean, like the Voidwalker ones, like, you know, I do have something for that to muck around with the miss part, especially for you. But anyway, yeah, I mean, like, you know, just seeing everybody, like, you know, enact their characters. I mean, I can't wait until Sarah comes back, because I want to see how Ernest comes through to the fore, you know, dealing with whomever he's ending up dealing with. And then the addition of this with Fig's Pigs will be more fun. So yeah, I'm excited. And again, wishes. Yeah, just like wanting to bring the mastermind out more and explore her character, and also to see how she interacts with you all. I mean, I want to see opportunities for people to feel like, again, that their characters are getting a good arc and that they're able to have callbacks. You mentioned something in like, you know, episode 1 or 2. It's like, you know, we'll see if that comes back and bites you in the ass later on, because that's how I like to play.
Okay.
I'm looking, like, I know, like, Dame Georgie is characterized by his stoicism, but he has layers. Not good layers, any sort of word, but he has layers. Like, he has a very particular idea about the world and about the need for violence. So, like, Sir Atticus, I think he views it in violence as a tool to be used.
Mhm.
But I think Dame Georgie views it violence as a joy to be enjoyed.
Ooh, yeah, that's a different philosophy. All right, that'll be fun.
That will definitely be fun, and especially with the mastermind that we have. So
Mm.
I cannot wait to see it. I'm excited for this. And Finn, I mean, Jack for Finn, I mean, there'll be ample opportunities for, you to decide which side you want to enact. I mean, there just feels like there's a lot of duality being put into play. I mean, like not only like this session, but I think like, potential for future sessions. And I can't wait to see it. I mean, like, this idea of different philosophy about how you're dealing with your nobility, how you're dealing with just the topic of violence, how you're dealing with what is your nature, So I
Also, a wish to have vulnerable scenes with Finn Quickley and Ernest.
oh yeah.
Because that'll be a time.
Whose vice is being enacted? Who knows? It seems like I think
Oh boy.
it feels like like all the vulnerable moves had the opportunity for multiple vices to be enacted, which was great. And I loved the way that they weren't necessarily like right at the beginning of day phase. It was like, like kind of like spattered through. Now, maybe rules as written would say, no, you should have them like only here or here. But again, I'm a willful child. It's fine.
I mean,
Let's play.
I mean, like with like vulnerable moves during the night phase, they can only happen in very particular ways, and
Yes.
like they have to be rushed and have to be framed up very carefully. Like
We did it well. We
yeah,
pulled
we
it
did.
off.
We pulled it off. I think.
love that. I mean, it worked out so well. And honestly, I mean, like, you can have extremely intense, intimate moments in the heat of battle. So I'm fine with it. If you're having a long, extended bantering conversation, then obviously not. And like in the middle of a vampire battle, then obviously not. That's not going to count.
But there's a lit cigarette in the scene, which means it satisfies my vice.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. So. All right. No, this is a good session. I hope you guys had fun. I mean, that's really the most important part of all. And yeah, I look for, oh my gosh. And congrats, I guess, to Finn for becoming most beloved.
Good job.
Now, you didn't necessarily see it, Mike, from last season.
I have no
but
idea what this means.
You're right. Exactly. We'll find out what it means.
Awesome.
Yes. Very excited. Very excited. Okay. So y'all have like a great week, and I probably will see you for other shit. So awesome. And happy gaming. All right. So to next week. All right.
To next week.
All right. Bye guys. Thank you.